There's no getting around Greg Maddux on a pitch like this. He paints the outside corner at 88 miles per hour, and the all-star hitter goes down swinging for his third strikeout of the game.
In the desert heat of Las Vegas, where dreams are made and broken on a nightly basis, a young boy named Greg Maddux was learning the most important lesson of his life. Not at the poker tables or slot machines, but in the backyard of his childhood home, where his older brother Mike stood 60 feet 6 inches away, teaching him that baseball wasn't about throwing hard, it was about throwing smart. The year was 1978, and while most kids his age were mesmerized by the flame-throwing fastballs they saw on television, Greg was discovering something far more valuable. Every pitch Mike threw came with a lesson, every swing and miss with an explanation. Location over velocity, precision over power, the mind over the muscle. But as Greg grew older, the harsh reality of professional baseball began to set in. At 5'11" and barely 175 pounds, he didn't possess the intimidating presence that scouts traditionally sought. While his contemporaries were lighting up radar guns at 95 miles per hour, Greg's fastball barely kissed 90. College recruiters passed him by. Professional scouts looked right through him. In a sport obsessed with measurable tools, Greg Maddux appeared to have none. The Chicago Cubs took a chance on him in 1984, selecting him in the second round of the amateur draft. It was an act of faith more than certainty. What they couldn't measure was the fire burning inside a young man who had been underestimated his entire life. What they couldn't quantify was the methodical approach of someone who had spent years studying the game rather than simply playing it. His early years in the majors were a humbling experience. The kid from Las Vegas posted a 6.61 ERA in his first season, giving up more runs than innings pitched. The doubters seemed vindicated. Perhaps the scouts had been right all along. Perhaps wanting it badly enough wasn't enough. But Greg Maddux possessed something that couldn't be taught and rarely could be bought: an unbreakable determination to improve. He sought out Harvey Dorfman, a sports psychologist, who would help him understand that baseball was as much mental as it was physical. Together, they worked on controlling not just his pitches, but his thoughts, his emotions, his entire approach to the game. The transformation was gradual, then sudden. By 1988, Greg had posted his first winning season. By 1989, he had won 19 games. But it was in 1992 that Gregory Allen Maddux announced himself as something special. 20 wins, a 2.18 ERA, and his first Cy Young Award. The kid who threw 88 miles per hour had just dominated a league full of power pitchers. What followed was unprecedented in modern baseball history. 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards from 1992 to 1995. Not 3, not 5, but 4 perfect seasons in a row. Each award represented more than individual excellence. It was a statement that intelligence could triumph over athleticism, that strategy could overcome raw talent. In 1993, he posted a 2.36 ERA and struck out 197 batters while walking only 52. The precision was surgical, the control absolute. In 1994, his ERA dropped to an almost mythical 1.56. In 1995, the year that would define his legacy, he struck out 181 batters while walking just 23. 23 walks in over 209 innings pitched. These weren't just statistics. They were the mathematical proof of perfection, but personal accolades meant nothing without team success, and Greg knew it. When he joined the Atlanta Braves in 1993, he became part of something larger than himself. Alongside Tom Glavine and John Smoltz, he formed the most dominant pitching rotation in baseball history. 3 different styles, 3 different approaches, but one shared commitment to excellence. The Braves won their division every year from 1993 to 1999, a dynasty built on the foundation of superior pitching. But championships are what separate good teams from great ones, and the Braves carried the burden of being labeled the best team never to win it all. That changed in 1995. Greg Maddux, the kid who scouts had overlooked, the pitcher who threw 88 miles per hour, the cerebral craftsman who had revolutionized his position, stood on the mound in Game 6 of the World Series. The Cleveland Indians were the enemy, but the real opponent was history itself. When the final out was recorded, Greg Maddux had his championship. More importantly, he had validated an entire philosophy of baseball. The Braves were champions, and Greg was the architect of their success. The years that followed only added to his legend. 18 Gold Gloves, more than any pitcher in history. 355 career wins, 8th all-time. Over 5,000 innings pitched, a testament to both durability and effectiveness. 17 consecutive seasons with at least 15 wins. A streak that spanned different teams, different decades, and different eras of baseball. But perhaps the most telling statistic was his career ERA of 3.16. In an era when offense exploded across Major League Baseball, when home runs became commonplace and runs were scored in bunches, Greg Maddux maintained the discipline and precision that had defined his career from the very beginning. There was something poetic about the way he faced his brother Mike in the major leagues. The teacher had become the student. The mentor had become the opponent. But when Greg struck out Mike in their first meeting, it wasn't about sibling rivalry. It was about the completion of a circle that had begun in a Las Vegas backyard decades earlier. On July 31st, 2014, Greg Maddux walked into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. The same man who had been overlooked by scouts, who had struggled in his early years, who had been told he wasn't good enough, was now immortalized alongside the greatest players in baseball history. His induction speech was vintage Maddux, humble, thoughtful, grateful. He thanked his brother Mike for teaching him the game. He thanked Harvey Dorfman for teaching him his mind. He thanked his teammates for teaching him how to win. But Greg Maddux's greatest gift to baseball wasn't his statistics or his awards. It was his proof that greatness comes in many forms. In a sport increasingly obsessed with velocity and power, he showed that precision and intelligence could be equally dominant. He proved that the mind could be just as powerful as the arm, that strategy could overcome raw talent. Today, young pitchers study video of Greg Maddux the way previous generations studied Cy Young or Walter Johnson. They learn that changing speeds can be more effective than throwing hard, that moving the ball around the strike zone can be more valuable than overpowering hitters. The kid from Las Vegas who couldn't throw 95 miles per hour became the gold standard for what a pitcher could be. He redefined excellence, rewrote the rules, and reminded us all that in baseball, as in life, the most important battles are often won not with strength, but with wisdom. Greg Maddux proved that greatness isn't about having the biggest arm or the most intimidating presence. It's about adaptation, intelligence, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. His legacy lives on in every pitcher who chooses precision over power, every player who values preparation over natural ability. In the end, Gregory Allen Maddux became exactly what he always believed he could be. Not the hardest thrower, but the smartest pitcher, and ultimately one of the greatest to ever take the mound.